Welcome students to another day in the foods classroom. Today we are going to be looking at preparing a complete protein food. A couple things about complete proteins. First off, they contain all the amino acids that our human bodies need in order to build, maintain, and repair all of our body cells and tissues. So that's pretty significant. I know that it's a complete protein food because complete protein foods, number one, will always be found in animal products. And the food that we're preparing today, of course, are these baked chicken nuggets. We're going to be a little bit wise on how we prepare them by not deep fat frying them or putting them in a lot of oil. We're going to be baking them and they're going to be delicious and nutritious. Previous to this demonstration, I've gone ahead and assembled all of my ingredients and all of my equipment after I read the recipe. I have also gone over and preheated my oven. It's ready for me to go right now, and so I'm ready to start. To be honest with you, I am going to be jumping ahead a little bit. Instead of just doing the preheat the oven and then coming down here to number 9, cover a cookie sheet with foil, I'm going to take care of that cookie sheet right now. So you have, of course, here at school a lovely cookie sheet, and we're going to be giving everybody one sheet of foil to go over the top of the cookie sheet. You don't have to do this, but as far as cleanup is concerned, it's going to save us quite a bit of scrubbing on the back end of things. The cookie sheet, of course, will still need to be washed. Even if we have it covered with foil, we're going to have overspray of the cooking spray, and maybe our dirty hands will touch it. I don't know, whatever, all will. But we'll take this right here. We're going to use a non-stick cooking spray. Notice this is canola oil. What do you know about canola oil? Did you say that it's mostly a monounsaturated fat? Yes, and it's going to take, and hopefully, it's not going to be a whole lot, but it's going to take and raise the good cholesterol, the HDL, and it's going to lower the bad cholesterol. All right, so I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to do, I'm just going to do a light spray over the top of that. I shouldn't see any major drizzles or runs on it. And then I'm going to place this to the side so it's ready when I'm ready for it. Then it says in a medium-sized bowl, which is this guy right here, I'm going to go ahead and beat 2 eggs with a wire whisk. You could use a fork if you would like to. I am going to use the whisk because I think it's a lot more efficient. Here at school, we're going to be taking and doing this in 2 separate days. Those of you, if you're at home, of course, you would go ahead and do it in one. Take this right here, beat that up really nice, and what I'm trying to do is break down the egg white so that it blends evenly. I don't have any slops of egg white. The egg is also going to be a complete protein food, and the reason why we're putting raw egg on the outside of chicken is that this egg is going to help bind or coat our chicken with our breadcrumbs. All right? While I've been beating this, I have gone ahead and preheated up my frying pan. So I am going to call that good. I've got a nice foam on the top of it. I don't see any large slicks of egg white in there. I'm going to check my pan right here to see how hot we are. I'm putting a little bit of water on it, and it looks like it's plenty hot. A little bit nervous how hot it is. We're going to call it good though, and we're going to pre-brown or toast our breadcrumbs. It says we need 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs. How do I measure 3/4 cup? If I don't have a 3/4 cup measuring cup, I'm going to measure 1/4 3 times, or I can measure 1/2 plus 1/4. I'm going to take these without putting anything in here, and I'm going to do a dry toast. Now, you have to be smart with this. Again, the reason why I'm doing this is I'm just going to have it look a little bit more browned. We're used to deep fat frying things. We're also used to the chicken nuggets we buy pre-made at the grocery store, and their breadcrumbs have been browned. So that's what we're going to do right here. Now, the breadcrumbs that I've chosen to work with are a special type of a breadcrumb. These ones are called panko breadcrumbs. And for those of you at home, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to have these breadcrumbs they're a little bit bigger, and they're an oriental breadcrumb. They make a delicious coating when you are doing the coatings. I can see that already I've got some browning happening. It's going to not be a solid caramel color, but I want to see some of the caramel coloring coming through with this. Now, be careful, because when it starts to brown, it perchance will brown all of a sudden really super fast. And after you get it brown to the part that you want it to be, you need to have something to put it into, because if you leave it in the pan, you're gonna end up burning it. This is gonna happen slowly, kind of like water heating up, and you might not notice any huge, all of a sudden, hello, toast, it's done. Kind of like when you toast bread in your toaster. It happens very slowly. I am taking and having my pancake turner upside down, and I'm trying to pull up the stuff that's on the bottom and get it on the top so that it evenly goes around. This frying pan that I'm working with has a large base. So when you choose the burner to put it on, you should be choosing a large burner. Those of you that are on the electric cooktops, that's kind of easy to see the difference between the large and the small. Those of you that are on gas, you're going to have to look a little bit closer and find the burner that has the largest disc for the flame to be spread out more evenly across the bottom of our of your pan. Again, I'm starting to see this browning happening, and I'm just going to kind of keep it moving. I don't want to move it so fast that it doesn't have a chance to toast. But from my perspective, I know that the vision is the clarity of what we're doing is not necessarily super good to see it really live there. But maybe you can pick up that I'm getting some different kind of orangey color or caramel color happening. And I'm just going to mix those up and keep an eye on it and get that all the way browned. Ooh, do you see that? It's coming through, it's coming through. I have to be just a touch patient. Let it sit for a titch. If I see any dark brown happening, I'm for sure gonna be moving things out of Dodge. Let's get our pan, or our little bowl here a little bit more convenient. Oh, do you see there's a whole lot that's browned that time. It's all warming up, getting nice and toasty, but it's still more white than it is brown. So I want to keep that going. And browning a little bit faster. And I'm just going to keep this stirring. I'm kind of cheating the system. This is a toasting breadcrumbs. You might toast maybe some different types of nuts like almonds or pecans to go in things, and it's just a dry pan with heat on it. I could do this in the oven as well. It's just a little bit more tricky and cumbersome, so I like using a frying pan to do this. Just kind of keep stirring that up. As that blends in, it kind of disappears. Just keep it going. Ooh, we're getting some good movement here now. Just looking for that kind of caramel color to be more rather than less. Again, any sign of a dark brown, I'm out of Dodge. We're taking it off. It will brown some when you cook it in the oven, so you keep that in mind, but oh, that's looking pretty good. I'm over a medium temperature. I don't want to go over high, because high would get me too hot too fast and I would lose control. Okay, I am just about where I want to be, but not quite. I think I'm going to count to about 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let me just quickly pull this up so you can maybe hopefully see the goldenness that's happening, the caramel coloring, and then I'm going to put this right directly into something that's cool, because again, if I leave it in the pan, it will continue cooking. All right, make sure I turn my burner off, and then again, you can see it's not completely all the way across the caramel color, but we're gonna give it a little bit of chance too to cook in the oven a second, so it's no big deal. But this is gonna help it look a little bit more like what you're used to looking at when you see a breading, okay? All right, so I'm gonna put this to the side, and now I'm going to be moving on to step number 5. And your instructions are for 2 pieces of chicken. For the sake of this demonstration, I am only going to be using 1. I'm going to pull out a piece of plastic, and if I were to have a meat hammer at home, or tenderizer, maybe you call it that, I would use that. But here at school, I am going to be using a rolling pin. And before I get all carried away with this, I'm gonna take a second and I'm gonna remove any fat. Why do I wanna remove this fat? Well, for one reason, this fat is a saturated fat. I know that because it's an animal product. I'm gonna put this over here in my garbage bowl. It does not have to be super fantastic, every little last piece of fat gone, but if I can get it off easily, you can see I'm just using my kitchen shears. We've done this once before. If I can pull it off real easy, I'm gonna do that. Take the second to do it, but don't take a long time picking it out. You'll never get it all perfect. And straighten out my plastic a little bit. Now what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to get this chicken, which is about, golly, about an inch, inch and a half thick. I want it to be about 1/2 inch thick. So if you were to look at your finger, it's probably about the distance between the tip of your finger and halfway to your knuckle. And the way that we're gonna do this is we're gonna lay this chicken breast out flat, put it on that piece of plastic, put another piece of plastic on top. This is gonna save our rolling pin from getting any potential salmonella on it. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit it. Now, don't get violent all at once. But I'm trying to do this just a little bit at a time, and I do have to hit it pretty good, but I'm not being like a crazy woman. All right, and I'm pounding this out to get it a certain thickness. I want all my chicken nuggets to be about the same thickness, so don't be slamming really hard on these outside edges because they'll flatten out pretty easy. And you're just gonna go to the middlemost part. If you want to roll that around or your cutting board around, you can do that too. But we're pounding this out, and this is going to let us control the how fast everything cooks. I don't want a big fat chicken nugget. I want one that's fairly thin, about 1/2 inch thin. So I'm going to just pull up, got a little bit more I think to go. And once it's going, chicken is generally a tender cut, so it's going to cooperate with you. All right, and once you get it to be, looks good, about 1/2 inch thick, then you can go ahead and remove your plastic. I'm gonna put this right on my cutting board because the next thing I'm going to be doing in step number 6 is to cut these into about 1.5 inch pieces. That's about the distance between your tip of your finger and almost to your second knuckle. If you go to McDonald's, they're about the same size as a McDonald's. I am not doing little tiny ones. I'm not. I want them to be bigger because I want to hold on to them as I dip them in a sauce. So about 1.5 inches. All right, I can put my finger there, but then I'm going to get it out of the way, and I'm going to cut it into a strip. All right, again, they're kind of big pieces, and if it doesn't turn out perfect, like this one's a little bit bigger, I don't care. Then you're gonna go ahead and come the opposite direction. Some of them are gonna be squares, some of them are gonna be more like triangles, like these guys right here. It's because that's the way chicken is. It's not coming to you straight and square. Now you notice I'm using my French knife. You remember how to hold it correctly. And you're cutting these into these little pieces, about 1.5 inch square. All right, this one, last one right here is 1 and 2. Okay, after we've got these cut into pieces, then we're going on to the next fun part, which is to take this and put it in our eggs. Why are we putting it in the egg? Again, this is gonna help control the stickiness of my crusty stuff to it. I kind of jumped ahead. Oops. I'm going to take this right now and I'm going to add in my pre-measured Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add in my basil and thyme and salt, right all there in together, and then I'm going to stir this. After I've got these all stirred together, this is my coating. I'm going to go ahead and put this into a plastic bag. All right, sorry, I got ahead of myself. You each will pull up get a plastic bag as you come up to the demonstration table for getting your supplies. I'm gonna put this right on in here. My crumbs have cooled down to the point where it's not gonna melt my bag. Go ahead and mix those all up. You can see maybe that caramel color coming through. Does that look pretty? I don't know what your vision's like with I get our lovely camera stuff. Okay, I'm gonna have this all nice and ready. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dunk my chicken into the egg mixture Okay, so I'm putting this into my egg mixture. I can put all of these guys in at the same time. That's okay. Just up to you. Maybe just a couple of them will be easiest to work with. You want to get them thoroughly covered because this is going to be like the glue that holds everything together. And then I'm going to grab my cookie sheet over here. And this is the process that I'm going to go through. I'm going to... Now that they're covered, I gotta let this dribble drop. Don't put in a sloppy wet, well, not sopping wet, piece of chicken with that egg, because this is gonna turn that, this mixture right here, this breading, into goo. So I'll pop that in here one at a time, give a quick shake, and then you can go in here with your fingers and you can find that chicken nugget, and now you're gonna see it's all covered with your crumbs. The eggs are binding, they're adhering that coating. It's one of the reasons why we use eggs in cooking. So I'll go ahead and finish up with the rest of these. Again, each time I'm going to just put one. That's gonna be the easiest for you. Pulling this up, you could use tongs. I'm just going to use a fork right here. Once you've got the dribble drop excess of that egg off, then you'll pull it out, all nice and coated, all nice and coated. You'll do that with all of them. You'll have to work quickly, but you can do this. Now here at school, we are at this point, after you get all of your chicken nuggets onto your cookie sheet, you're going to go ahead and bring the cookie sheet up to me, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator, and then we'll bake them on the next day, tomorrow. We just don't have time to do it all in class. So complete protein food, couple of techniques with browning the crumbs, using the eggs to bind or hold two different ingredients together, complete protein, all of the essential amino acids, using canola oil, which is mostly a monounsaturated fat, and it's yummy delicious. All right, we'll see you on the backside.